1.1.3, 2y to the power 0 plus 3x to the power 0 in brackets raised to the power of 2. The common mistake that was noted here is that because we see the 0 here, we immediately think, anything raised to the power 0 is equal to 1. So we immediately say that this whole thing is equal to 1, which it is not. If you look closely, this first of all is a product, so that's 2 times y to the power 0, and the only thing that's being raised to the power 0 is in fact the y. Nothing is happening to the 2. And because we know that this is a product, meaning it's 2 times y to the power 0, if y to the power 0 is equal to 1, this then simplifies to 2 times 1. I'm using a dot here now for times. So the whole thing is not 1, it's just the y to the power 0, which is 1. Applying that same logic in the bracket here, we know that 3x to the power 0 is 3 times x to the power 0. And if x to the power 0 is equal to 1, then that means that this is simply just 3 times 1 raised to the power 2. So I need to look closely at what I'm seeing here so that I can determine what is actually being raised to the power 0, and that I then simplify properly. I simply now have numbers. I've gotten rid of all the variables because of that power of 0. So this simplifies to 2 plus, that's 3 in the brackets, to the power 2. So that is 9. 3 to the power 2 is 9. And that simplifies to the 11. So 1.2. Jared bought a new laptop bag for 799 Rand, including VAT. So VAT is included in 799. They want us to calculate the amount of VAT that was included in the price of the laptop bag. So this question needs to be answered after you have read and understood what they actually want you to do here. They want the amount of VAT. They actually want what is the VAT that is included in this amount that they gave you. So they are not looking for you to calculate an amount including VAT. They're not also looking for you to calculate an amount excluding VAT. They actually want the amount of VAT, and that requires us to do one of those two calculations that I just mentioned, and that is, if I have been given the VAT inclusive amount, it means that VAT is inside this amount already. It's in there, so VAT is in here. You don't need to calculate VAT and add it to this. You have it within this amount already. We just don't know what it is. And we know that if we have a VAT inclusive amount, we need to, if we want to know what was the amount excluding VAT. So in other words, this is including VAT. In other words, I can then perform a calculation to get the amount excluding VAT. So let's take 799. Okay, so 799 divided by 1,15 gives us 694 Rand and 78 cents. Notice on the calculator screen here on the left that we have 78 cents, that we have 78 cents as our first two digits or decimal digits, and the third decimal digit is 2, which means if I had to round that to 2 decimal digits or places, then the 78 will remain 78. Okay, so make sure you round off properly. Now, what does this mean? We now have an amount that is excluding VAT. So we were able to calculate this amount by dividing by 1,15. Now, they don't want this amount. This amount here is not the VAT. Remember, the question asks us to calculate the amount of what? They want the amount of VAT They don't want the laptop bag's price excluding VAT, they actually want the VAT. In order to calculate the VAT, we would need to take the difference of the laptop bag including VAT and excluding VAT, because the difference there is in fact the VAT. So all I need to then do is say my VAT amount is equal to the 799 minus the 694.78 cents, and that gives us 799 minus 694.78, 104 rand and 22 cents. So that is the VAT. 1.3. Calculate the simple interest if 150,000 Rand is invested at 7.5% per annum for 15 years. So I'm simply looking for the simple interest here after 15 years of investment of 150,000 Rand. So simple interest we know is equal to P times R times N divided by 100. So that's the initial or principal value. So P and multiplied by the interest rate, multiplied by the number of years, all divided by 100. All I need to do is substitute those values that were given to me already. So the principal amount is 150,000 Rand multiplied by the interest rate, which is 7.5, which I can just write as 7.5. Okay, it makes your life a lot easier. And you multiply that with n, which is the number of years. So the number of years is 15. And all of this is divided by 100. And I simply take my calculator and I have 150,000 times 7.5 times 15 equals that divided by 100, and I have an answer of 168,000 Rand and 750. 168,750 Rand.